talk starts. So take a seat, let's have a chat, table talk, where the real talk's at.
Good morning, boys. Good morning.
There we are. Would you happen to have a mint? Perhaps some banaka?
Well,
I'm going to stop there before I get fussed at for my language.
I'm just glad we don't have no whipped cream.
Woo! Woo!
Oh, I'm glad. Oh, yeah. I just realized we have a female in the house. I shouldn't have said that. I apologize.
Or you just simply wanting whipped cream worse?
On pumpkin pie.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Those of you that have not seen the movie Varsity Blues may not understand what we're talking about.
And those who haven't probably need to.
Yes.
At least once.
Yes. Because you're going to be saying a few choice words at the coach. Because I do every time.
Right.
And you're not supposed to cuss, but he'll make you want to cuss.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. I don't really even care for the main character. I'm torn between Billy Bob and Tweeter.
I mean, I love that part where he's freaking just, I was going to kick you in the nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, just, and that kind of goes with what we're talking about tonight.
Kind of, yeah.
I mean, you're supposed to, what's it called? Control your tongue?
You're supposed to.
I mean, Billy Bob and Tweeter did not. Or Tweeter didn't for sure.
Tweeter, yeah, he was kind of running on overdrive most of the time. And Billy Bob, bless his heart, I don't think his character,
Yeah.
I don't think his character knew any better.
No.
You know, it's like,
he
hey, guess what? I got my cat scanned.
He did. He called Ralph a couple times.
Right.
Poor watcher.
Talking to some dinosaurs.
Freaking love it. I'm going to watch that movie now.
I have no chat.
You have no chat. Son of a biscuit. I will fix it.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
Maybe y'all can talk.
Watch your mouth.
I said biscuit.
Okay. Well,
I like some good biscuits and gravy. I'm just saying.
Occasionally.
I didn't go in and change the setting. I don't know why it's making me do that now.
Occasionally. Not always. And I know it's a personal taste. Not always, but occasionally.
It's got to be the right kind of gravy, though.
I like when they bring it out, of course you can make it at home and I've done it, but occasionally a restaurant brings you basically an iron skillet mess. You've got a biscuit in there, your eggs are in there, there's sausage all over the place, and they've dumped gravy all over it and say, there you go, sir.
That's how That's how I make. Even at the grocery store, if you get it all individual,
right?
I'll break it up, put my eggs, my hash
browns,
put my gravy on top of it.
There are times where that is magical. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I do like it, not every time, but the times where, there's times that just hits the spot, and weighs about 1,000 pounds.
Oh, yeah. I think it really is good there.
And then yourself weighs about 1,000 pounds afterwards.
Yeah,
Walk for a couple of days.
Cold winter days.
Oh, yeah.
Nice comfort food.
Yeah. I need it.
And I'm not hungry. And we are talking about food, but I'm not hungry.
Give it time. So last week, we kind of started on James chapter 1, starting down at verse, got to tilt my head back, 19. And we're talking, I'm basically just discussing what James is trying to communicate there,
I need to refresh. Might be there now.
Be slow to speak, slow to anger, and quick to listen. And oftentimes, a lot of times in conversation or whatever, we misconstrue or misunderstand what's trying to be communicated. A lot of times that happens over social media and text messaging because you're reading into what you think like when you're not in person, you don't get to read tone of voice, body language, facial expressions, so the exact same message can come across 15 different ways.
Oh yeah.
And, so I try not to have any modicum of a potentially horrific conversation through text message or even on the phone.
Yeah.
you know.
Kind of reminds me, was it in middle school, high school, the teacher had to play that telephone game where the teacher told one person one thing
Yeah,
and they went
yeah,
around the classroom and see what it said by the time we got to the end.
yeah.
Kind of the same concept.
Similar, except we're doing it ourselves,
Yeah.
Right.
you know. So James is warning us there, to wrap your head around the situation rather than simply reacting.
Right.
And I think a lot of times, be it either in person or social media, especially in social media, we listen to respond, not to understand.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, I know I'm guilty of it. I try not to be, but I am.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody is immune from it. And if they believe that they are immune from it, then they're probably full of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of what we discussed last week. Verse 29, excuse me, I can't read apparently. Well, this would be counting, wouldn't it? Verse 20, didn't take my shoes off. I ain't got that many fingers. I always thought that was one of here's my tism kicking in. I always thought that was the funniest part on Bruce Almighty, where he's got his hands behind his back. He's like, well, how many fingers am I holding up? It keeps changing it, and it finally comes up with 7, and he changed it to 5, throws his hand out there, and he had 2 extra fingers on it.
Yep.
Just here we go.
Some good movies.
Yeah. Verse 20, for human anger does not accomplish God's righteousness.
What version are you on? I'm on the SV, so I'm not.
NET on that one, it looks like.
NET.
Well, you got.
ESV.
Yeah, well, what's it
What
say?
does it say?
Yeah.
For the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God. So it's basically the same thing,
Yeah.
just worded a little different.
So there is, if we go through the Bible, and I think we talked about this last week, there is such a thing as true righteous anger.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say that we talked about the flipping tables and chasing whips and stuff like that. If we didn't discuss that, I actually have recently with a friend of ours. And what was Jesus upset about? Did he hate the people that were doing these things?
No, it was a sin.
Well, there's that. And that's what I'm saying is, like, was Jesus mad just to be mad?
No.
Did he get his feelings hurt? Was he offended? Did they say something that, forgive me, but pissed him off?
No, trying to remember. He was just angry at the whole situation. In general.
Well, in one situation that I recall, I want to say that I don't know if it was specifically money lenders, but money changers were set up inside the temple.
Mm-hmm.
Not outside, but inside.
And it was greed. It was a greed thing.
Well, the way I understand it is they were disrespecting God's house.
Yes.
Like they could have done that right outside the wall and it not been a problem.
Right.
But they're trying to conduct business, shall we say, in church.
Yeah.
And, like there is a time and place for things.
Yeah.
And once you
he wasn't getting against the tax collectors because he even said in there, you pay.
Right. Give unto Caesar what is Caesar's.
Yes. And then I couldn't think of the Caesar. I couldn't think of the name.
Right.
But it wasn't against that. It was where it was located.
Basically, yes.
The temple wasn't.
Do what you need to do, but know your place and be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah.
And the way I see it, it wouldn't be a whole lot different. Let me just make something up, but our church is pretty lenient in many aspects. Like I think our dress code is we have to be dressed.
Yeah.
But let's say holding a beer garden within the building.
Yeah.
Like I really don't think the two go together.
No.
You know, um, we have a lot of folks there that ride. So, like hosting a biker rally, especially if it's a Christian biker rally, I can totally see our church
Being on
looking
board.
into it.
Yeah.
Depending on circumstance and situation.
Right.
But hosting one with a beer garden and, they would probably even allow a certain flavor of a more secular music, because people do use the building for weddings and whatnot.
Right.
Um, I don't know that they would allow a Marilyn Manson concert within the,
Yeah.
they might. I don't want to speak for them.
Right. It's just an
I would have
example.
a hard time with that.
It's an example of
Right,
you know,
right.
Definitely do some praying after that one.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is, a lot of these things we on the scripture, I mean, there are certain things that are put pretty plainly in black and white, and a lot of it's even in red. But there's other things that are, I don't want to say specifically interpretive, but they're going to speak more to this individual than that individual, and so on and so forth. And it's like over the holidays when we was discussing that. There are folks that celebrate Christmas in a different manner.
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with that because not everybody has to celebrate Christmas in the manner that I do.
not everybody has to celebrate Christmas.
Right.
I mean,
Well,
it's,
there's a differentiation between the commercial holiday of Christmas versus celebrating the birth of Christ Christmas.
right.
And as a believer, I don't guess we really have to. I mean, we're not commanded to celebrate it, but I don't see a problem acknowledging it.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean,
Now what it has turned into.
Yeah.
Like there are certain aspects where I don't like all of some of the traditional aspects, so to speak. I think a lot of them are so ingrained it would be hard to back up societally, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I don't specifically like all of them. But there's other aspects. It's just if somebody didn't want to put up a Christmas tree, I don't have a problem with, like I'm not going to kick them out of the church and split hell wide open with them.
Well, and we've talked about that because we
Right.
don't really celebrate how a lot of people
Well,
do.
thank you. I was trying to word that without calling y'all out.
No, it's fine. I don't care. I'll call myself out. I don't care.
I'm just saying, I'm just trying to
I'll
be,
call myself out. Like we don't do Santa. We don't do the
Right,
tree.
right,
We don't,
right.
We do minute to win it games. We
Mhm.
I did a Bible trivia. Little things like that. We make it about what it's supposed to be about.
Right.
We don't do the gifts. We just don't, like, I might have a little $1, $2 prizes for
Right.
the games or something, but we make it about God and we make it about family.
Right,
That's what
right.
we do. I mean,
And there's nothing wrong with that.
we just don't feed into what it's not about because
The corporation.
Right.
I
I remember, and I think this might have shifted just a little bit, but I remember it was probably a good 10 or 12 years ago at a previous church. The pastor was talking about holidays and whatnot. And he had done some research and some digging, or I guess he did, about many of the different holidays celebrated here in Western society, specifically America. And I think Easter did fair as far as, because we don't necessarily spend a whole lot of money on President's Day. But, Easter did all right. Halloween did phenomenally.
Yeah.
And then it was Christmas. He's like, a lot of places, like, completely just all but skip Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, because there's no commercial money in it.
Right.
And he found it odd because we should be thankful,
Mm-hmm.
and I agree with, like, I don't agree with myself 100% of the time, much less anybody else. But the points he was making, or at least what I believe he was making, I mean, he was right. We should be thankful And I'm not saying that we have to be thankful to go spend a bunch of money on decorations,
Yeah.
but and I know we're completely off topic here, but that's what I do. When we look at modern society, there are so many people on antidepressants. They're going through therapy. And I'm not saying anybody should or shouldn't. I wonder how much of that would change if we learn to be thankful and grateful.
A lot.
I am a firm believer that if you focus on negativity, then that's what you will see.
Yes. And I'm living proof of that. I've lived through that.
Right.
Negativity, toxicity. That's all it brought.
Yeah.
The more negative thoughts I had, the more it seemed like everything went wrong. Or, and the Bible tells you reap what you sow.
Well,
what you put out, you bring in.
And I'm going to touch on that. I was having conversation with somebody. It's been a couple of years ago, but we were conversing along the same lines, and I was trying to, not tell them what to do, but offer these suggestions. Like, if you can just find something to be thankful for, even if it's one thing in a pile of 1,000 things going wrong, put your focus on that, and stop worrying about, and don't get me wrong. I know that, like, when money's tight, it's hard not to worry about bills and things going, like, I get it. It's part of being human. Yeah. But we're so much better off if we can wrap our heads around what we actually do have. And I was trying to instill that with this individual, and the conversation kept going back and forth, and the individual wasn't
receptive.
That would be a good way to put it. And then it kind of went, I want to say she kind of brought up relationships and that, it's like, well, my relationships always turn out like this. I'm like, do you believe that they're going to? Mm-hmm. Yes, because I'm like, has it ever crossed your mind that you are living a self-fulfilling prophecy? What do you mean? I'm like, well, if you get into a relationship with somebody and you are truly convinced that it's going to fall apart, whether they cheat, whether, no matter what the reason that it's going to fall apart, that subconsciously you're not self-sabotaging, like, on one hand, in a defense mechanism, but on the other hand, probably a little more subconsciously, to be right. Well, I never thought of that. And I'm like, well, most people don't. But if you constantly speak negativity, that's what you're going to get.
Yeah, I found that if I expect everything to go wrong,
it generally does.
Probably going to go wrong.
And I tried to explain that and their philosophy. And I know I'm not picking on this individual, but if it, it was like a different variation of, because a lot of us have heard that hope for the best, plan for the worst.
Yeah.
Well, the way they described their aspect was like a variation of that, but backwards. It was like, prepare for the worst, and maybe it just won't get that bad.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not that I disagree with that, but if all of your focus is on the bad, then you're not saving anything for the good.
This man right here can vouch. That's how I used to be.
Yeah.
Oh,
bad.
Well, yeah,
Bad.
I believe it.
And I would be like, well, it's going to fall apart anyway. So, and it would be the point
Right.
where I'd be like, I don't even know why we're doing it because it's going to go wrong. Like, why even try? And that was the mentality I had. And I was just always expected it was just going to go bad. It was just going to go bad.
Spent a lot of money on duct tape, didn't you?
I was very, very negative. And now, you brought up the whole financial situation and stuff. And I'm sitting there thinking, it used to be me too. Like, always worrying. How are we going to pay this?
Well, and it's hard not to.
But now I've gotten to where I've seen God pull us out where we've had absolutely no money.
Yeah.
And it's like, but we still managed to pay for everything. Like, where did the money come from? Like, where it came from. God provided, but you're looking at the black and white, and it's like, it should not have.
I know that there is biblical discrepancies. There's one where, you know, God takes a few fish and a few loaves of bread and he feeds 5,000. And my understanding is that was 5,000 men, then there was women and children.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is another account where the number of fish and the number of bread is different than the previous account, and it was 7,000. And I can't remember if that one was 7,000 total or 7,000 men plus women and children.
Yeah.
And the way that they are described is we have no idea if this is two different people talking about the same event or if there was two separate events.
Right.
And from a faith aspect, I don't care which way.
Either way,
You
I
know,
mean, yeah, I just
I-
assumed it was
either
two
way-
separate, but
no matter how you look at it, Jesus
he provided.
fed that many people from a lunchbox.
Yeah.
And there was stuff left over.
Yeah.
We spend a whole lot of time worrying about things and questioning God.
And God's already said he's got it.
How many times you tell me that?
I know. I mean, and that's been up to recently. You know, and that's what I used to be the one, and now it's like, but look at how many times he's already brought us through. You saying he ain't gonna do it again?
Right.
Does he change? Does he
No.
lie?
Is that song say?
Like, I mean,
What's that song say? God's still the same person he was yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't change.
like if he's done it all this other time, why are we questioning whether he's gonna do it this time? Like,
Right. And there are aspects where I know skeptics, and eventually I might tie this back in. But for
Okay.
now we're doing free range mouth off.
I mean,
It ties
we
in.
go
Yeah.
where we're led.
Yeah. You know,
You gotta
boy,
have-
that's ironic since we were talking about the tongue leads the ship.
Yeah.
You know, we go where we're led. Well, it's our mouth doing the leading. You know.
Might ask the library to give us more time.
It is always, you know, like skeptics will look at the Bible event and they'll say, well, there was the covenant with Adam, and then when Moses came around, things changed a little bit. And you know, like you can point to a few individual aspects and like, well, God changed. I'm like, well, did he, or did he decide to do something differently? You know,
Well, did he
because
change? Did the situation change?
well, and one of the biggest things is there is a noticeable difference between wrath of God Old Testament and loving God New Testament.
But Jesus.
Well, there's that, you know, which a lot of people don't understand that. But we also have to look at it from a completely different aspect. Not everything in the Old Testament was wrath.
No.
I can't remember the name, but you know, like the 180 soldiers that apparently defeated, well, they didn't even defeat, they just showed up,
Mm-hmm.
and God sent the angels to wipe out the multitude of whoever the other army was.
Or what about the ones that,
Gilead. Is that right?
It might be.
Or am I confusing King Arthur? I get a lot of names confused.
Well,
But either way, there's a story in the Bible of such things.
the one where they also marched around just
That's
playing the
Jericho.
trumpet.
That's
Yeah,
Jericho.
But I mean that's another.
It is. It's not the story I was talking about, but it is. You
That's
know,
another example. I know which one you're talking about, but I can't remember.
right?
It may be.
Yeah, I'm. Don't quote me. Look it up.
I'm not. I can't remember, but I do remember that was just another one I was
But
thinking about.
and there's so many other things. I remember. I can't remember the guy's name. He used to be really involved with the Christian ministry at Murray State, like the Christian fraternity. What Chi Alpha, is that right?
I have no idea.
But he did a little talk and was going over things. He's like, everybody remember, you know, Moses parting the Red Sea? And everybody's like, yes. He's like, well, every one of y'all are wrong. Like, okay.
God did it.
He's like, Moses picked up a stick.
Mm-hmm.
God parted the sea. And I'm like, you know, he's not wrong. I mean, he's righter than we were.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and there's so many things like, why do, you know, we put so much doubt, how stupid are we?
Yeah.
Actually, don't answer that because, A, we don't want to know.
And I can tie this into the message.
Go for it.
Okay. So being slow to speak
Mm-hmm.
and, more to listen, right? Well, we got to do that to his word.
Yeah.
We're talking about worry and all this and that. Well, we've got to listen more to what he's saying than speaking our doubts and our worries. And see, I can tie it back in. I'm telling you, I got this. But it's true.
No, I mean, you are correct and you are on the right path. As believers, if we look through a lot of Paul's writings, a lot of James's writings, even Peter's, like most of the epistles are instructions on how to accomplish what Jesus was trying to tell us, or was trying to tell them more specifically. The nutshell of it, you have to understand that there is a difference between the worldly human flesh and the spirit man, the godly realm, whatever, however you can conceptualize it. That there is a difference between the two, that just because you want something and you feel really good about it does not mean it's God's will.
Exactly.
I mean, we have to wrap our heads around that, and I'll be honest, I have led myself down that path. And, I would love to say I won't be doing that again, but I'm stupid.
That's what I told him. I said, I'm so grateful for unanswered prayers.
Yes.
Like, I mean, they're not really unanswered. They're just not answered the way that we thought they should
Right.
be. And, so to us, they're like, oh, he didn't answer that prayer. No, he just answered it differently. He just didn't give you what you wanted.
Right.
He gave you what he knew you needed. That's the difference.
Right. But if we can conceptualize that and separate the human element from it, get out of your feelings, get out of your reactions, get out of all that stuff, and fill your head, heart, mind, soul, spirit with God, with Jesus, with the Holy Spirit, with love, with the Word, then all the other stuff doesn't matter. The best explanation that I ever heard is like when you go through Levitical law, there's at least 600 and something direct laws. And when the Pharisees asked Jesus, which was the greatest, you love God with all your mind, heart, soul, understanding, being, everything about you, God's first. And after that, love your neighbor as yourself. And the way it was explained to me is like, if you can accomplish those two things, you have beat the law. Like there are no commandments after that. If you can love God to the pinnacle of our ability to love, and then love others in the same way that we treat ourselves, you have beaten the law.
If you truly love God to that extent, then you're going to be...
Yeah, number 2 is going to already be done.
Yeah, and then you're going to be just more willing to follow...
And honestly, that's
what the word says. I mean...
And I, as kind of being a butthole, but
you're not going to look at it as I have to. You're going to look at it as more of I want to do this because I love him so much.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, and I've pointed this out to people, and like I said, I was being a butthole when I did it, but, like social media, we will argue over morality and this and that, and who's got the superiority, and I'm like, Jesus told us to love God first and to love our neighbors as ourselves. We can't accomplish one of those two things.
No.
Who the hell's got the moral superiority on that one? Like we can't do one of either of them. And I've had people argue with me, well, I don't need the Bible to live a good life. And theoretically, yeah, you don't have to be a believer to live what we would call a good moral existence. I've seen it out of atheists. There are some that would shame many Christians,
Yes.
And my hat's off to them. I'm not trying to talk them down in any aspect, but I will pose the argument. Pick any 5 of the 10 commandments, any 5 at random. If everybody picked just 5, whichever 5 that you want, and lived by just those 5, convince me that the world wouldn't be a better place overnight.
Yeah.
It would
Just
be.
5 at random.
100%.
And the other
You
thing
know.
is, even for thinking about the morality side of that, like where does, I mean, even for non-believers, like, or non-Christians, whatever, how do you know it's moral?
Depends on who you ask, what you're talking about, and how they feel about it at the time.
But morality had to start somewhere. That's that's the whole point. And I've heard this argument before, and it's like, I know we're going to get him going.
Here we
now.
go.
But
There are many that will argue that morality is subjective to the individual, and in certain cases, I agree with that.
right.
Now I don't believe that. We talked about y'all celebrating Christmas differently than others. I don't believe that falls into a morality issue,
Right.
more of a personal conviction issue.
Yeah.
But there are certain things that if you wanted to call it morality rather than ethics, and I do believe that there's a difference between the two. If we go to base raw morality, the way we treat others, and don't get me wrong, we like to believe we're good people, but we've all treated somebody in a manner that they probably didn't deserve.
Yep.
And I throw that footnote out there because I'm just as guilty as everybody else.
Oh yeah.
But if we get to baseline, shall we say, reptilian morality, most of us would agree that taking the life of an innocent, not somebody who's trying to do you harm,
Mm-hmm.
but somebody who has done nothing to, like you don't even know them,
Mm-hmm.
most of us would agree that that is morally wrong.
Right.
Whether it's legal or not is irrelevant. Most of us would, like in our inner being, would say that that is morally wrong.
Yeah.
Now, the problem with the argument is that if we try to say that that is subjective, well, no, it's not completely subjective because there's people who don't have that problem and they're in prison right now.
Right.
Okay. So if we remove the legality aspect from it, who are we to say that they're wrong if everything is subjective?
Right.
And that has been my argument about subjective morality overall is if you can envision the worst possible scenario or the worst thing, be it murder, rape, whatever like makes you sick to think about. If it is subjective, then there exists a set of circumstances where it's completely permissible.
Yep.
And it's not me saying that I agree that it's permissible.
Just based on that logic.
Just based on that logic and the infinite realm of possibilities, then there has to be a scenario, however rare and unicornish it may be, where that scenario would be permissible. And if you disagree that there's no way that whatever it is could ever be okay, then it's not subjective. It's objective. It's wrong no matter how you look at it. Where do we get that from? Right. And that's it.
That was where I was
the secular aspect of that is, well, from a consciousness standpoint, I mean, if we just talk about, shall we say, killing and murder, and leave some of the other things off the table, humans have been killing each other for years.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody has had a problem with it. Sometimes we believe it's justified. Sometimes we, honestly, like in modern Western culture news, they will report where something has happened and one group says it's okay and the other group says it's terrible. You present another incident and both groups are on the opposite sides of the same fence.
Mm-hmm.
So my argument for objective morality has always been it has to come from outside of ourselves. Because the moment I start deciding what is moral, then you can decide what is moral. And if I decide, well, doing such things is not outside of my moral realm, who are you to tell me that I can't?
Right. Yeah. That's kind of where I was leading with that. Is,
Yeah.
you know,
So objective morality has to come from outside of ourselves.
if you ask, you know, hey, what do you find moral or immoral?
Right.
Most of the time, not all the time.
For
you-
core beliefs, most people will agree on most things.
Yes, and they all lead back to this. So it
Yeah.
all had to come from somewhere. We didn't
Yeah.
just, you know,
Well, and I've heard people make the argument that, well, when you start dealing with a civilized society, I'm like, no, the Romans were considered civilized society of their day, and they were brutal MFers,
yeah,
you know, and we can talk about the great advances in philosophy and whatnot that came out of the Greco-Roman period. Okay, well, they were probably considered the most enlightened of their time, and they were still brutal MFers.
yep,
So you can't tell me it's an intelligence thing.
no.
We
You just
can
posted something about that, didn't you, on Facebook?
that high IQ, there is no correlation between high IQ and good moral
Yeah, I
behavior.
remember you saying you were posting.
You
that.
know, and that's a Jordan Peterson thing. And I, like I said, I can't say that I agree with everything he says, but there's so much that I do.
Yeah, being smart doesn't mean that it makes you, you know, do.
Yeah,
good
being
things.
intelligent does not guarantee you're a good person.
Right.
You know.
Phew, I'm glad I'm a hillbilly.
Well, but there's no correlation the other way either.
No, there's
Right.
not.
You know.
But I mean, but you have, and I got where he's saying that because there's a lot of people who are like, I'm very smart, I'm this, I'm that, I have all of these degrees, and I have all of this, so that makes me such a good person because I have all of this knowledge.
Yeah,
And there's a difference between knowledge and wisdom. Just saying.
there really is, and you know, I don't. There are certain aspects that you know, shall we say, certain moral habits or whatnot can be taught. You know, like
Mhm.
our parents do instill some of that in us.
Yes.
We all remember our teenage years. They don't all take. So you can't guarantee that every one of them can be. Well, I'm sure they can be taught, but that doesn't mean they all can be learned.
Right.
But my argument has been it has to come from outside of that. And yeah, I never understood like you said, well, I have all these papers, so I must be like the most moral person out there or whatever. Having a college degree does not make you a moral person. I don't care if it's in theology.
And I'm not saying everybody is
No,
like
no,
that.
no,
I
no,
wanna
no,
put
no,
that
no.
footnote out. I'm
No,
not saying
I-
that, but there are a lot who think they're superior because they have money, they have power, they have this, they have that.
I would tell them to look into the Dunning-Kruger effect, but
You
that's
know?
a different thing.
I mean, I have a college degree, and I know I've messed up a lot. Like I've been morally off a lot. My compass has been off. You know, and God's got to like, hey, get back to it. Go back this way. You're going the wrong way. You know, and
It's like, you know how a compass is supposed to point north?
you're
Mine
not going
sometimes
somewhere.
does this crap.
Yeah.
You know?
Goes like
Yes.
this.
Yeah.
Mine just goes in
Stick around.
You know, it's like mine acts more like Captain Jack Sparrow's.
Yeah.
You know, like it could be anywhere. Generally points to what I want most. You know,
Is it God telling me his direction? I don't know.
well, and that right there, that is the biggest way as believers that we BS ourselves.
Yeah.
Yes.
We get this notion in our head, and the notion might not even be wrong, like morally wrong. But we believe it so much and we don't see a problem with it and we feel really good about it. Well, that must be from God. Where else would that come from? You know, and we convince ourselves of this, you know. People are stupid.
Well, and, yeah.
And I include myself in that, you know, because I confess I have done it.
No, I have.
Having flashbacks. Boy, if I dive under this table, y'all just ignore me, okay?
Let's not rewind
Right.
it. Let's
Whew.
keep going
Yeah.
forward.
Is this
You know-
is this still storming?
Quit looking in that rearview mirror.
No, yeah, right. That's one of them things. Just you know, wow. But that's how stupid we are as individuals. Like we, you know, like what did we? Actually, I'm not even going to go there. But yeah, we will convince ourselves that just because we want it, it must be God's will. What did they call that back in the day? Like Crusade era. Um,
Oh,
uh, like divine providence or something like that.
intervention? No,
I don't.
I
Um,
don't remember.
but yeah, that's kind of, hey, we're these, like we believe in Christ. Let's go sack this town over here. They're heathens. God wills it,
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
and
seen several movies do that.
yeah,
No, I mean, there's actually a story in the Old Testament where they were like, "Oh, well, God wants us to go do this," and they went to go attack this other town or whatever, and they lost because God was not with them.
well,
I
and
can't remember
yeah.
what
Right,
it was,
right.
but I do remember that. And God was like, "No, I didn't tell you to go."
well, and that's the thing, and that's what a lot of people don't get. They'll cherry pick certain. Of course, we've all done it with certain passages,
Hmm.
but they'll take certain stories like, well, God told the Israelites to go kill all of these people, men, women, children. How is that a good God? Well, I ask God.
Well,
You know,
because
ask
these were people that were against him,
well, and that's the thing is,
like they were his enemies. Like,
oh, I'm not disputing that. I'm simply they're not going to understand the correlation of that because, well, they don't believe in God, so
right?
they don't want to be the enemy.
Yeah,
But they don't see themselves as an enemy.
right.
More as indifferent.
Yeah,
Um, but the thing about it is, when God pronounces judgment, first off, God is in charge, He's in control. God can pronounce judgment whether we like it or not, and He's going to do it whether we like it or not. And if He decides to do it with a flood, a plague of locust, water turning into blood,
didn't he?
or sending an army to come and do what armies do, God's going to choose to do it in the manner that God chooses to do it.
I'm pretty sure at one point he split the land open and it swallowed everybody whole.
And that was Israelites.
Yes, that was
You
his
know,
people.
Yeah, they spent a lot of time complaining. So
Mhm.
again, try to find that one good thing. You
Mhm.
know, I want to say that actually happened on at least two occasions, and I recall one of them was it did happen while the Israelites were wandering the desert.
Yes,
And I want to
wasn't
say
that
that
when he come down? Moses come down after writing the Ten Commandments. They'd made a calf.
I don't think it was that specific incident. I
can't
think it was
remember.
several years into it, about the time they all got carbuncles,
I can't remember.
which is hemorrhoids. I had to look that one up. I'm like, well, what is it? You know,
So, hey.
and it's basically hemorrhoids. And I'm like, see, God, tell me God doesn't have a sense of humor. If you're being a pain in the butt, He will give you a pain in the butt.
Literally.
You know, but I want to say there was one more. I believe I want to say there's an event very similar to that in Revelation, but something tells me I've got this thought in my head that there was an event where something like that happened, not directly with the Israelites, but they were warring with somebody or whatever, and God's like, nope, you're done. But don't quote me on that because we're flying by the seat of the pants right now.
You talk. We were talking about doing what God says, and God said do this or whatever.
Yeah.
I got to think about last week's podcast, last Saturday. We're in James 1, and
No, he got plagued that time.
Okay.
He plagued them. I had to look that up because that was bugging me. Sorry.
and then Sunday, Michael's message
Mm-hmm.
ties into what we're talking about.
Oh yeah.
And then I'm studying today on today's message,
Mm-hmm.
and all of my studying leads into what we're talking about. Eventually, we're going to bridge over to 23, Psalms 23.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all, and talking to the people watching right now, last week I dreamed about Psalms 23, and then a song came on by Tyson's James. Is a Christian rapper. You may or may not like him. It's everybody don't like that, don't have that taste. But anyways, he has a song called Psalms 23, And then my iPad had the Bible app popped up saying, "Hey, you need to read these Bible lessons for Psalms 23." So and I did discover today that, well, guess where God wants us to go next. So I guess my point is God's leading us in the right direction.
Right.
Stop and listen.
Stop and listen. Yeah, I was getting there. I was taking a long, dirty road, dusty road, whatever.
I have brought this up in my own
long
personal
road.
about a year ago at the church. Pastor was talking, and I had to pass it. Like, he called us back up on stage, and I passed this along while I was passing. Um, a lot of us pray a lot. You know, um, I don't know if any of us pray as much as we probably should,
Right.
but like I know myself, like every night I'm trying to pray myself to sleep. Now there's times where the ADHD kicks in and who knows what is going through my prayers. But years ago, I want to say it was Ben Priest who made the comments like, well, we all pray. When do you shut up and listen? And since he made that comment, I'm like, that's a better question than I want to admit. you
Yeah.
know? And we all pray. Like a lot of us, I'm going to go as far as to say there's probably a lot of non-believers who actually pray. But when do we shut up and listen?
So yeah, we're always asking.
Yeah, God, give me a sign.
He's giving you several, but did you pay attention?
No, not a bit. God, I need help with this. Well, it comes out, well, look how the universe works, like this is how good things are. This is how good I am. It's always chafed me, like sandpapered my craw. When there are individuals out there that when something goes good, I'm awesome.
Oh, it's never.
When something goes bad, why would God do this to me?
Why did he do that?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, really?
It was all God's fault.
It's all God's fault when things go bad, but you're just awesome when things go right?
Mm-hmm.
Weird.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think there's probably instances where we're all guilty of something along those lines, but
Absolutely.
I can think of several individuals where it seemed like that was a lifestyle, and I'm like, if you want to acknowledge God, that's great. But if you're only using God as a way to blame you not getting your way, your failures or whatever, I'm like, you might as well do you really think God's a genie? Like rub the lamp, poof, what do you need? And if he didn't get it, then he's just not a good genie, I guess.
Yeah, bad genie. Get another one.
Yeah.
Your God, get another God.
Well, and that's honestly, we could do a whole.
Yes. All day long.
Yeah. And I will touch on this because there are what we would call 3 Abrahamic faiths.
Yep.
Main branches, and there's a lot of divisions and subdivisions off of such. I honestly have no idea how, like, if you was to look into Judaism, if there, I'm sure there are some different strains of thought. We know in Islam there's certain groups that they all read from the same book, but they don't agree on everything, and they've been at war since like the beginning of time. And then as we get into Protestantism, well, even Catholics, not all Catholics believe the same thing.
Right. I've heard that.
Where was I going with that? Good Lord.
Squirrel.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Here we go. What like God does not change, like that is biblical. God is God, whether we like it or not, no matter how we envision him. But our perception of God changes who we think we are worshiping. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because whatever we believe God to be is who we are praying to, if that makes sense. Now, if we believe that God is all love, but no correction, what do you think I mean, that's not the God of the Bible, you know? If we believe that, well, like we was discussing, when things go good, I'm awesome. And when things go bad, well, God's just a mean kid with a magnifying glass burning off my feelers, since we talk about Bruce Almighty. But, you know, who we need to be in the Word to learn who God is, not who we perceive him to be, not who our friends tell us he might be.
Who he actually is.
And for that matter, not who people who hate him think he is.
Mm-hmm.
We need to read the actual Word to figure out who he really is, And I believe that just like understanding the Word, the more you read it, the more you're into it, the more you're going to learn. Wouldn't our understanding of God increase also? So what's Taco say? Read your Bibles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bibles.
Bible.
Is that Bible spelled sideways?
I really don't know. I really don't know. But either way, you look like you have a smile. What's on your mind?
Mm-hmm. He's holding my hand.
Ow.
Don't tell my wife.
I mean, I don't care.
No, he's holding my hand, so I smiled. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
17 years later, and he still makes me smile like that.
No, that's good. I just seen the look, and I'm like, it's not that I would not say anything stupid. I was just curious what.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
I find it interesting that the last 3 podcast episodes, we've had a bot pop in.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see that comment.
I see that.
I can't see it.
It's on our side. It's from Twitter.
Oh, well, yeah, I can't see it.
You think that was because we was talking about Twitter?
No. I'm not sure what that's about. I'd have to look into that.
Right.
Kind of curious.
I don't know that I would trust a website they put on there.
I'll look at it on the laptop at work.
I still wouldn't trust a website that anybody puts on there.
Right,
like that.
right.
Anywho.
Y'all got more you want to add on that, or we want to try to get back to James?
I will say that I did find out when they swallowed them whole, it was the Israelites. It was the rebellion of Korah when they went up against Moses and Aaron.
Yeah.
Saying that
Lost about 120,000.
Moses and Aaron put themselves above them and all of this.
Right,
and he tried to take charge, and God's like, "Yep, watch this." And yeah. Him and his followers got swallowed alive. So yeah, that I that's how my brain works. Like if I can't remember exactly what I have to look it up.
No. That's not a bad habit to have.
It drives me nuts. I'm like, I knew the story, but I couldn't.
There's times I do that, and I'm just as bad watching a movie. I see an actor or actress's face, and I'm like, where do I know them from?
Yep.
We do it all the time.
And what kills me is cartoons, because all you get is the voice.
Yes.
I'm like, I know that voice, but I don't know who the heck that face is.
Like recently, Friday, they said they hired a new guy at work.
The new guy?
He starts Monday. Of course, I kind of flipped my lid, and then I found out why, because we're so busy right now. But the guy said,
"Don't put it out there."
Yeah, he said his name, and I'm like, I know that name. Where did I know that name from?
Right.
He asked me, he's like, "Do we know that person?" I'm like, I don't know that person.
He worked at such dealership in town. I'm like, I think I might know that name. I'm like, I have to look at him. I don't know. I just see his face.
Oh.
Well, he works. His dad owns his business in Paducah. I'm like, oh, maybe I don't know him.
Right.
But it's you bring that up.
No, I mean there's times
like Kevin Hart, you can't miss that one.
Right.
Especially in Secret Life of Pets.
Yes.
Freaking rabbit.
Yes. We were watching that the other day with Grace.
Love that movie. I do not recommend watching The Roast of Kevin Hart on Netflix.
I haven't seen it.
I mean,
There's a lot of language
if
there.
you can watch
Well,
it,
there generally
if
is.
you can hit the beat button so many times,
There's a lot
Well,
of language
it's
there.
freaking hilarious.
There is some stuff out, and everybody's got a different opinion on this. I think Cat Williams, in many aspects, is hilarious. I do not believe that every little tidbit is hilarious to my personal taste, but there are certain skits and phrases and whatnot that
Mhm.
I think he's funny. But his earlier career used language as not only punctuation, but also candy sprinkles, flavoring. There was a lot. And me personally, I have a hard enough time not saying it without hearing it. You want to tell Chris hi?
Hey, guy, that's Chris. Whoa, that's Chris. Chris East.
Yeah.
Hey.
You went to school with him too. He was a grade younger than us.
Hardy's. Chris East. Hardy's.
Oh,
Yeah, I think I had a.
I don't think I knew him in school, but when you said
I
Hardee's,
want to
knew
say
he
I
was-
had one math class with him, but I when I seen him at Hardy's, I'm like, why do I know that face and that voice? You know, and it took me a couple days, and
He looked at me
yeah,
like-
I know who that
He
is.
looked at me, he goes, Kid Fridley? I'm like, yeah. He goes, Chris East. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think I knew him in school, but
You might not
I know him
have.
from Hardy, so we're
Yeah.
good.
Hey, where was I? I got distracted. See, Christmas tinsel,
Freaking squirrel.
squirrel. What was I talking about? What
What
was we talking about?
Cat Williams.
You ever have a Red
Cat-
Bull?
Cat
Red Bull?
Williams.
Red Bull?
We
You
were
ever have a
talking
Red Bull?
about but before that, we were
Yeah,
talking about-
the language aspect.
Yes.
I actually appreciate that as he has gone on, he's cleaned up a little bit.
Yes.
Not everybody appreciates that. Now, my personal thing is Cat's welcome to do whatever Cat does. That's between him and the Lord. Okay. I'm not telling him what to do, but on a personal aspect, I appreciate it simply because I tend to swear less when I'm not hearing it all the time.
Yes.
Yeah. We
And-
were talking about that, I think, last week. You and I
Right,
outside,
right.
like,
And
when we're around it more, we tend to do it more.
pick it up like a cocaine habit, you know.
Mhm.
It's not just a little bit. It's, you hear a little sprinkling here and like, well, I think I'm going to fire up the smoker, and here we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
And,
Couple days.
and it might just be you're around a person or listening to such or whatever for a 5 to 30-minute period, but it might take you 2 weeks to trim that back out. To me, it's just not worth the effort.
To me, I can relate to Cat Williams and Kevin Hart because we're all the same height.
Right, right.
I think I might be taller than Cat Williams. I'm not sure.
All the short jokes.
Well, you're probably taller than Kevin Hart. I think
don't
most people
know.
are.
I don't know. I didn't.
Depends on which sneakers he's wearing.
Yeah, it depends if I'm wearing my work boots or not.
Right.
I'm taller than you. All your kids are taller than you,
I told them I'm glad they are.
except for Sarah. Sarah's
for
the only one that's not.
Well, that's short end of the stick.
She's shorter, but yeah.
So,
It's
anyways,
okay. All my kids are taller than me too. So
I'm glad they are.
except for Alicia,
Yeah,
we're about the same height.
She's
She might
taller
be a
than me.
little bit shorter.
she's taller than me too. So
Yes, she is.
she's not my blood, but she's still my kid.
I've
Right.
noticed that I've shrank a little bit as I've gotten older.
Me too.
I was 5'7", now I'm like 5'6".
I
So
was
I don't
6'.
know. I lost an inch somehow.
I was 6'3" in high school.
You were not. Nice try though. I guess it depends on what gas station you're in. Though,
Well,
too.
I mean,
Yeah, it kind of does.
I blame football from all them hard hits and
Compressed your spine down some.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
That's what I tell Hugh Freeman and all.
Are you doing a Christian-based podcast?
Maybe. That's my blameology. Is that even a word?
I guess
It is
it
now.
See, we think a lot alike.
Maybe Chris is over here laughing about it and thinking, hey, that's a good idea. I have to think about it too. Because he's about the same height as I am, maybe taller. I don't remember. I'll have to go on Hardy's next time I see him. See if it was taller, me or him. Let's see if he's working tomorrow.
So good stuff, huh? We never know what
that train went. Vroom.
Yeah, we really struggle staying on track today. That's okay. We still talked about God. That's what matters.
Yeah, and everything else.
Under the sun or over the sun and beside the sun.
So, a while back ago, like maybe 15 podcasts or one conversation ago, verse 20 in James 1, for human anger does not accomplish God's righteousness. That is on the, what the translation did I say? NET.
Yeah.
And then from there we got talking about Jesus flipping tables and whatnot, and then the squirrels came in the room, and here we are.
Yeah, we're talking about his righteous anger that.
And as honestly, whether you're a believer or not, you need to know the difference between true biblical righteous anger and.
Or you offended me, hurt my feelings.
Well, there's that, and what do they call it? It's a fairly new term. Last couple of years, virtue signaling. Like there, you need to know the difference. Yeah, between true righteous anger and being butthurt, but you also need to be able to separate true righteous anger from self-righteous indignation.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember hearing a pastor once, he filled in with us. I knew him from work. I did not know he was a pastor. You can get mad about sin.
Yeah.
You can be angry about sin. You're not supposed to be angry at the sinner.
But the sin itself.
Now, I throw a caveat. If somebody is directly sinning against you, there might be a position in there for actual righteous anger.
Yeah.
We know there's going to be a spot in there for just general anger, So read your Bibles and use discernment. But the fly off the handle, everything is a negative, angry reaction, that is not God's righteousness.
No.
That is, I'm going to say you have an attitude problem, I honestly, I've got a lot I could say on that. I don't know what it is, but it's not righteous anger. It's not.
I feel like some of those that will, like, every little thing, like, sets them off. They have a little bit higher view of themselves than what they probably should.
Well, there's an aspect of that.
Does that make sense? Like,
and there is that, like a moral superiority.
Yes, thank you. The words weren't coming.
Right. I ran across a reel the other day. I want to say it was Mark Driscoll, and he said something in this reel that is so simple. It's like all of us already know this, but it doesn't click until you hear it said out loud, and you're like, was I born, not completely retarded, but
it makes sense.
More like an axle nut, crank it down, back it off half a turn. That's where I stay, He said, and I'm not directly quoting because I've slept since then, but he was saying that trials, they don't create something in you. They expose what's already there.
Yes.
He's like, when you squeeze a tube of toothpaste, what comes out of it? Toothpaste, because it was already inside there.
Yeah.
So when something does not go your way, if anger comes out, that was already there. It's not that it made you angry. You were already angry, And he gives several different examples along them lines. And I'm like, he's not wrong.
Mm-mm.
Nobody wants to believe that he's right. Like, no, that stuff made me angry. No, you can't control your emotions, and you already have anger inside of you.
Yeah, that was just another thing to push that out.
Right. But the opposite also comes into play. If you are a person full of love, even in trial, when you get squeezed, love comes out. You know,
And that goes with negativity. That goes with all of it.
anything.
Yep.
You know, when you go through trials, and what did Jesus say? Since we're talking about mouthing off, from out of the mouth comes the overflow of the heart.
Yeah.
And it's all on them same lines. You know, what is already in there is what will come out when you're squeezed. And you know, of course, don't squeeze somebody if they've been to Taco Tuesday by any means.
Oh yeah, no.
But you know, you a lot of the stuff, you know, and tying into this, when we act, when we react, okay, yeah, there's times where somebody will do something that you don't like, but that anger was already in you. You know, you might have got your feelings hurt, but the wrath was already there. And that's what we need to work on. You know, like what is actually dwelling within us? Are we full of love, or are we full of hate? Are we full of you know, one of the things that gets floated around is how people marveling over the and I'm not trying to be mean here, how the tolerant crowd seems to be very intolerant. You know, so are you actually tolerant or are you not? You know, like humans are not very good at self-analysis. We usually have a false perception of ourselves.
Oh yeah.
We almost never see ourselves as the villain. You know, usually the victim, the hero, or both at the same time, but we almost never see ourselves as the villain.
We see what everybody's done wrong to us, but it's hard for us to see our part in it.
Well, and you know, a few years ago when I was making all them, shall we say, relationship-based posts, to me, it has nothing to do with relationships. When things fall apart, when things aren't, that's when you're being squeezed. That's when you see what you're dealing with. Where was I going with that? Boy, I am easily distracted tonight. Yeah, I'll circle back to that. I went right out the brain.
And you know, people like, and we even talked about, you know, hey, why did God allow this to happen, or why did He do? Not that He allowed.
Right.
Why did He do this to me? I think sometimes He does allow trials to happen to us.
Well, so there are times, you know,
He either calms a storm in us, or He calms it around us. One of the two. And if we allow Him to, let me put that in there. But you know, you saying what you said a while ago about, you know, and it made me think, you know, we go through these trials. Maybe it is God's way of showing, hey, look, this is the issue you need to deal with. This is what's coming up. This is your word vomit.
Well, and
basically,
well, yeah, and
you know, sometimes maybe He allows us to go through some of these trials to show us where we need to.
There is scripture that backs up that you know, a lot of it is a refining process.
Yeah.
And if we are believers that are legitimately trying, excuse me, we are actually supposed to rejoice at a certain aspect of the trials. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't know if I could really be happy, you know, like when we, shall we say, are under direct volatile attack from the devil, so to speak, or even from the devil. It's hard to find joy in that.
Yeah.
You know, nobody likes it. It's terribly uncomfortable. But let's say if it pushes anger out, well, then it's exposing what we need to work on.
Yes.
You know, bitterness, resentment, jealousy, whatever the case may be. You know, like I said, as we get squeezed, what is already there will come out. You know, it's not new stuff manifest.
Yep.
Well, I really wish I could remember where I was going with that a minute ago.
Don't remember halfway home.
Yeah.
Probably, or maybe not.
You talk about God putting you through storms. That I remember seeing something or hearing something. You know, you praying to God for something, bless you with certain things. I think it may have been you who told me this. I don't remember. But God's going to bless you. You want God to bless you.
Yeah.
Well, God's going to say, hey, if you want me to bless you with this, you need to deal with this first.
There are times what bothers me, because there's a, and you can say the same thing about our podcast here. If you go on social media, there is a lot of sayings that I will say is like chicken soup for the Christian soul.
That's a good book.
And a saying like that,
That's a book.
is it really?
Yeah.
Did everybody catch the?
There is. There's
It
all
is.
kinds of
There's a
chicken
book.
soup.
Yeah,
sayings.
I know
Yeah,
that. I
there
just
is.
didn't know there was a specific
I
one
don't
for
know, I
the.
don't know if I want to read it, but there's a book called that.
Well,
I'm pretty sure there is.
The reason that I bring that up, and if that is a real book, my apologies, but
There's one for the soul.
right. There are a lot of sayings out there, and what I
There is.
Fantastic. So my apologies, no copyright infringement. I have not read the book. It might be great.
Sure enough, it is.
Looky there. You
That's why I
know,
thought you brought it up.
no. And honestly, this is just an oddity. Like, I didn't stick my foot in my mouth. It just,
You just didn't know.
yeah. But there are a lot of sayings out there that, like, hey, if you want this blessing, you're going to have to do that. Well, sometimes God gives you this so that you will. There are a lot of sayings out there that may or may not apply. You don't know. And there's a lot of people that's the answer they're going to give you, but they have no way of knowing if it specifically applies to you.
Right.
You know, and that's the hard part, is a lot of that is probably very well intended. You know, like, I don't think people are putting any of that out there maliciously.
Yeah.
And there probably is truth to them, but that doesn't mean that they're specific.
I know what he's saying.
Right.
I remember that conversation, because he was like, I keep praying that God's going to bless us. He's going to bless us financially. He's going to get us out of debt. And I'm like, well, why would he give us more if we're not taking care of what we already got?
Right. And there is an aspect of truth to that.
And that's what he's talking about. I was like, maybe he's waiting for us to be able to take care of what we've got in the right way before
honestly,
he can trust us with more.
Honestly, yeah, go through the parable of the talents.
Yeah.
You know.
So that's where that.
And there is another parable that is actually really similar to that. Yeah, we are supposed to steward what we already have. And go from there. And my understanding is the lesson from that is, God will bless and reward depending on how we manage it, so to speak.
Mhm.
You know, not everybody is blessed with the same anything.
No.
You know, and that is one of my things about everybody talking about equality and equity and all that. And I'm like, we are all equal as far as being human, the same under God. But other than that,
yeah.
there are some people who are smarter than others.
Right.
And you might not like it, but if you're needing brain surgery, you want the most competent one.
Right.
You know, in almost every aspect other than basic human decency, none of us are equals on every metric, you know. And I think there is a portion of that is absolutely, that's how society has operated since the dawn of time. You know, you don't let the village idiot lead the group. You probably,
I'm out of luck.
well, I'm just saying, you know, you probably don't send a blind person hunting.
You're
know,
gonna have the blind leading the blind, basically.
Well, and that's where I want to say it's Jordan Peterson, but I might be wrong on that. But he talks about you want a hierarchy of competence, and it's not that the blind are worthless,
No.
but not everybody is as skilled in every field across the board. So, not everybody can cook. It's not that difficult to turn on a stove or whatever the case may be. But some people have no, shall we say, knowledge of seasonings.
Yeah, I know, so we can burn water.
Well, and there are folks that, everything they cook might be raw. And there's others that, like you said, they can burn water. Like everything they cook is way overcooked. And some of that, and I'm not talking about even personal preference. I mean, if it's supposed to be hot and it's cold, you didn't do it long enough. And our faith is the same way, Um, and honestly, like, I hate to admit this out loud. I'm one of them people that, like, I don't like a raw steak. I like the taste of the char, but I have gotten where I don't order them well done anymore. I've backed off, but
Medium rare.
That's how I like mine too, medium rare.
I like mine more in medium. And if it starts like, if I have to choose, if it's leaning one way or the other from medium, I would rather have it on the done side because I do like the char. I like when it just starts, to add that on the
Now,
outside.
if it's a steak with the fat still attached to it, I want that charred.
Yeah, you want the fat burnt, basically.
Yeah, that's some good flavor.
Ooh. Right. But
I'm hungry.
Yeah.
You're always hungry.
It was crazy. This medicine's supposed to curb my appetite. It don't.
Right.
Mine does. I just get bored and then eat.
We got about 10 minutes.
Got about 10 minutes. Well, maybe one of these podcasts we'll go over what we intended to go over, and maybe we won't. I don't know.
I don't know if we'll get our hopes up on that. I'm not mad.
No, I'm not either.
Maybe somebody needed to hear this to that.
Well, maybe they did.
You never know. I mean, I feel like, we try to stay on point, but there are times that we get off like we did tonight,
honestly,
there's usually a reason for it.
Honestly, as believers, we have this misconception that, like, well, yeah, we are supposed to go out and spread the gospel and the good news, but we have this idea that if let's say we share the gospel with somebody, well, then we want to be the one that's there when they give their life to Jesus. And we want to be there to help instruct them along their way. And Jesus tells us in a roundabout way that that's almost never the case. Somebody has to plant the seed, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be the one that waters that seed or prunes the vine, so to speak. The aspect of Christianity, I mean, it is a lifelong journey, and we're going to meet different people who.
We plant the seed, God waters it. That's his job.
Right.
We're not to do his job.
Yeah. Well, and that too, we a lot of times we try to take on God's role. Mm-hmm. And we all know how that turns out.
That's a big responsibility.
Yeah. Lean not on our own understanding.
Well, that's my thing. I have thought a lot about this. To be an actual prophet. I don't mean somebody that, and I'm not talking about anybody, but I don't mean somebody like, I believe the world's going to end on this date, and the heck with all that mumbo jumbo. I mean a Daniel, Ezekiel, Isaiah, depending on which movie you watch.
Yeah. A
true prophet that, hey, I have to tell you this word for word, thus saith the Lord.
Yeah.
Who the heck would want the responsibility?
Not me.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I do want to hear from God. Don't get me wrong.
Because a lot of times their messages were not good messages.
Typically not,
It was usually like, okay, look, you messed up and God's not happy, so this is what he's going to do to you.
Honestly, I see myself more as a Jonah character. Go tell these people.
I don't wanna.
Why? I don't like them. You don't like them. You've already pronounced wrath. Wrath on.
Oh, guess what? You're gonna lose a leg on the way.
Yeah,
You
you know.
don't need it anyways. You got another one.
Right. But like when you stop and think about it, would you really want the responsibility of speaking on behalf directly of God? And I don't mean sharing the gospel. I mean directly speaking on behalf of God. Would you really?
Because what if I said the wrong thing?
This reminds me when I was going through discipleship
Like,
training.
what if I like messed that? Because I will mess it up. If it can be messed up, that'll be me who does it. Like,
Well, you can't use that as an excuse. Moses tried.
I know, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying. But I mean, like,
He's like, I'm not good with my words. He's like,
Yeah, didn't he have
you'll
a
talk when I say
He
so.
had a
He have a
lisp.
lisp, yeah.
Yeah.
no, and I get that. I'm just saying that you're asking, would you want it? No, but that's why I wouldn't want it. Like,
It's like when I go through
Yeah,
discipleship.
I wouldn't want a public speaking.
No.
Like, what I hear coming out of this speaker versus what I hear from here to here are not the same thing.
No.
Like, I wouldn't want to subject anybody to listen to this.
Well, thousands of people.
just
do.
saying. Huh?
Huh?
What?
What?
He said thousands of people do.
Oh,
Last
sorry.
Speaking of having
It's
a
the
little,
voice I got.
a little praise I'm going to give out.
I might try to get a little wall pedal hooked up, though. At least it'll have flavor.
Look, fun. That's some auto tune on there.
I don't think that'll work. It's not the pitch, it's the content.
Those some. Never mind. I'm gonna shut
Just that zip it.
Yeah. Anywho, we had some followers in Japan.
Oh, yeah?
What was the other one?
Is it South Korea?
Japan, Korea.
Okay. Well,
And-
there's technically two.
And then the other two, I don't remember now. Of course, I think about Vietnam.
Yeah, we've
Vietnam.
talked about Vietnam. You mentioned a while back ago we was actually getting a little viewership out of Iran
Yeah,
or Iran,
Iran. And what's funnier is
and which, according to U.S. news, depending on which news station we watch, we have no idea other than things aren't going very well between the United States government and y'all's government. But as far as on an individual level, I hope y'all are doing well.
Yeah.
I wish the best for you.
and something I find funny is it says I click on the audience and it tells me like goes down to iOS, Android, web based.
Right.
99% of men watch it.
Yeah. There's not very many women that watches. It's mostly men.
Well,
So that's one of the reasons why I'm starting to get a woman figure in our podcast.
there
Not that it
are
matters.
there are theories I have heard where other people, be they, excuse me, there we go, whether they be podcasters or somebody like Peterson who does all the stuff that he does, there is a mounting shift between men. Apparently, I don't know, but a lot of men, especially young men, are starting to lean back into Christianity. The world has not delivered, so to speak. Secularism has not delivered. They are struggling to find their place. And a lot of them, and it's in the aspect of Christianity, it is, according to what I've heard, giving a lot of them hope. It's giving a lot of them purpose, foundation, structure. I think it is a good thing.
And it could be a situation like with us, where I was the leader for so long and that wasn't biblical. Well, now he's stepping up and he's being the leader, and it could be that situation.
Well,
too,
I
where-
can't speak about every society, but
Oh, no, I'm just
in
saying-
Western society, well, not even on y'all's aspect, but in modern last 10-year Western society as a whole, we've done nothing but crap on men.
Mhm.
And that's basically it.
Mhm.
Of course, as a man, I have thought that, there are some individual instances that I will agree with, but as a whole, I think it's crap. Not that I believe men are all powerful and all superior, but to completely demonize every aspect of not only men, but every manner of masculinity and what do you really think the outcome's going to be?
I mean, we've talked about that before. You know, I can do everything that a guy can do. No, we can't.
Well, my thing, I don't know what the obsession is in that ideology. I really don't.
Oh, I know I
But
can't.
but
So,
my thing has been, why are there so many that are trying so hard to do everything a man can do? Why don't you start trying to do what we can't? Because men can't do everything. And because men and women are different. We are not the same thing. We are not the same creature. We don't, on average, we don't think the same way. We don't act the same way. Um, we are built differently. We have different plumbing. And yes, I do believe that women are for more than simply reproducing. But there are a lot of things that men are not good at or can't do. And I think it would be more beneficial that instead of, I mean, how stupid would it be if I set up like, well, I can do everything a woman can do?
give birth. Try that.
Well, I'm just saying,
that would be my response. Try to give birth.
I've had Taco Tuesday.
Yeah, well,
Now, what you got now? Huh?
I've had that plus. I've had my stomach cut open twice and a kid removed.
Right.
Both times.
Not enough taco sauce.
Like, I mean, but no, but that's an example. Though,
you were supposed to order the double chili cheese hash browns and bite down hard.
We all have our roles to play. And,
We do,
we
and
gotta quit trying to fill the other role.
well, and that's the thing is we spend so much time, focused on what we shouldn't even be focused on. Um, what is it, like the 90-10 rule? We will ignore the 90 to get the 10.
Yeah.
If you go back to Eden, there were multiple things that happened at the same time in the garden. And one of them is you're given a whole paradise. Don't eat that apple. And what was they worried about? Well, and I'm just making up apple. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. You can have whole of paradise. That looks good.
We fixate on the stuff that we're not supposed to have, or
Yeah.
That's what we do.
And nothing has changed.
Nope. We don't change. I mean, like as a whole, like humanity itself doesn't. Like,
well, and
individual people can, but you know what
right.
I'm trying to say.
Well, even still though, we as individuals are still fairly guilty of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if we wasn't, we wouldn't have so many going through therapy and on happy pills, so to speak. Yeah. I'm fully willing to believe that a lot of that is the negativity, and that's based on what are you looking at? I know we're running out of time.
Yeah. Well, before we go,
I'm going to have to zip it.
Before we go,
zip it good.
Brazil, India, and Japan.
Okay.
And
I used to play an online game with a girl in Brazil. There was a lot of us there, but
the United States.
Couldn't tell you what her real name. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
North Carolina and Idaho.
You are?
Yes. Wait, no, I quit doing that. But I'm excited that we're reaching people other than Kentucky.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And our numbers are up, I think. I don't know.
I don't care.
I don't either, but I'm just...
And I don't say that to discourage anybody out here who may be watching or listening or whatnot. It's
not about
that's
the likes.
not...
No.
A lot of times when he starts talking about this stuff, like I tune it out because I do not want that to become a focus. Now I am glad that there are Japan,
that's what I'm excited
one of the
about.
Koreas.
Yeah.
I love that people are showing interest, but on a personal level, that's not why we decided to do this.
Several of them watched the whole episode. I don't remember which ones it was.
Right.
I'm pretty excited that we have people in different countries.
Yes,
different countries
that are watching. So
yeah,
and the people are learning about God
in different hemispheres.
I don't know if it's illegal there, but
I would have to go through the list. So
Right.
far, I don't think there's anyone except possibly North Korea,
I
but
think India, isn't that more of a big Buddhism world there?
very Hindu.
Hindu, that's where, yeah, who knew? Yeah.
But I don't know if it's actually illegal.
Right.
Potentially frowned upon.
Yeah.
I'm going to say probably heavily frowned upon, but I don't think it's illegal. I might be wrong. I don't know.
But we will, in the chat for tonight, we had a good podcast. I think a good discussion.
Do you think so?
I'm not sure where we ended up at.
We didn't make. We got one verse done.
Oh, okay, cool. That's okay. It's all
We
part
even
of it.
went back to it and still didn't give up.
Yeah. It's like, hold my Bible. Here we go.
Like, hang on.
Hold my
But we still covered a lot of God's word, and
hold my cracker.
and like I said, maybe somebody needed to hear that. Maybe that's why we went that little.
Well, and like I said, that's, God does what God does, and it is ours to obey. It's not ours to question it. I'm always reminded of Job when you get through all of that. When you get down to the very end, God was not upset with Job for being upset. God was potentially upset because Job approached him as though he demanded an answer.
Mm-hmm.
And who are you?
Yeah.
Like, you are my creation, not the other way around.
Who do you think you are?
Well,
Pretty
basically, yeah. And
I don't know who you're talking to.
right. I mean, can you imagine God? You better check yourself before you wreck yourself.
You see that red spot in your forehead? You're fixing to have another one.
Right. Look like a hand the size of a planet. Going to powder that hand. But took you a minute, didn't it?
It did.
I got it.
But yeah, we watch entirely too many. Well, we remember entirely too many movies. But no, there's so much. It is ours to obey voluntarily. Are we commanded to? Yes. The more you get into the gospel, the more you do it because you want to. And, I know it's distasteful to talk about. Do you feed your children because you have to? I mean, you do have to.
You do have to. No, I feed them because they're hungry.
Are you providing for them? Do you love them?
Yeah.
I mean, you see where this is going. Do you have to? Yeah, you kind of do. But is that why you do it?
If somebody I didn't like was hungry, I'd still feed them.
And that's the point I'm making is, like, there are things that we are supposed to do, but we're not doing it because we're supposed to.
Yeah.
And a lot of folks can't understand that about the gospel. It's like, well, it tells you how to live your life. Now tell me where it's wrong on that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, but anyway, I know we're running out of time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we will pray for y'all. Y'all pray for us. And we will see y'all next week as long as things permits us to be here next week.
Yes. I'm going to zip it.
Right meow.
Zip it good.
Yeah. Right meow.
We're going to do it right meow?
Shenanigans?
Oh, yeah. Farva!
I almost forgot.
Pull up a chair, there's room for your voices. Rise where the truth comes through from.
Well, that's why I was trying to watch what I said.
Midnight thoughts. This is where the real talk starts.
Wasn't going to ask if anybody wanted to.
So take a seat, let's have a chat.
What got me when the guy, oh, I do.
Real talk set.
Like,